We have to recite Dukkha Ariya Sija Pali first. Can you follow me? Katamija Bhikkhave Dukkha Ariya Sija Jadivi Dukkha Jaravi Dukkha Maranambi Dukkha Soga Parideva Dukkha Domanasu Bayasa Dukkha Abhiyehi Samyogo Dukkha Biyehi Vibhyogo Dukkha Yambejana Labadi Dambi Dukkha Sankhetena Pinjupada Nekanda Dukkha. We recite together. Kadamija Bhikkhave Dukkha Riya Sijam Jadivi Dukkha Jarabi Dukkha Maranambi Dukkha Soga Parideva Dukkha Domanasu Sabi Dukkha Abhiyehi Samyogo Dukkha Biyehi Vibhyogo Dukkha Yambejana Labadi Dambi Dukkha Sankhetena Pinjubada Nekanda Dukkha. Translation, follow me. And what bhikkhus is the noble truth of suffering? Birth is suffering, aging is suffering, death is suffering, sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and excessive despair are suffering. Association with the dislike is suffering. Separation from the liked is suffering. Not to get what one wishes, that also is suffering. In brief, the 5 aggregates of clinging are suffering. Ariya Sitchan. So Ariya should know who are Ariya, who attain enlightenment, Buddha, Arahants. They clearly and totally realize the Four Noble Truths, Anagami, Sakadagami, Arahant, Sotabana. They also partially understand the truth of suffering. For the practitioner, so long as you practice well, you will understand the truth of suffering. Chatibi dukkha, jarabi dukkha, maranabi dukkha. Birth, decay, death is suffering. Soka, sorrow, is suffering when loss of relatives, destructions of properties and possession, deterioration in health and longevity, and breach of morality, And deviation from the right view to the wrong view. Because of this reason, sorrow arises. Right view to wrong view. So views are very important. Even our bodhisattva, long ago, our bodhisattva was Loma Hansa Kassapa Hamid. Loma Hansa Kassapa Hamid, our bodhisattva practiced wrong way with this wrong view. He did not wear any clothing. He avoided from all people, so he lived in the jungle. And Lama Hansa Kassapa Hamid ate countdown, etc. So when there's sunny days, he stay in the field to get high temperature. In the cold season, he took cold to get low temperature. So this practice is self-torture due to his wrong view. So he practiced this wrong way. And when he was dying, what nimitta? What budi nimitta? If you practice wrong way, Dogati nimitta will appear. Signs of destiny for our bodhisattva is very bad. It is hell. When he was dying, signs of destiny was hell realm. But bodhisattva realized quickly, I'm totally wrong. He realized that his practice was totally wrong. And at the dying moment, bodhisattva rejected all his wrong practice. And he rejected all wrong view. So he was bodhisattva. He changed his view very immediately. And he had other merits accumulated in this life. And also his wrong practice was not harming to other people, just self-torture. So after abandoning his wrong view, Sukati Nimitta, signs of destiny was Sukati, good realms, good signs. And then in time he was reborn in the Sukati realm, good realms. So deviation from right view to the wrong view is Detti Vyasana. So what you are practicing is Eightfold Path. It is right view, right understanding, right thinking, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Samadhi, right view. So very fortunate. You have a opportunity to practice or the correct view or the correct practice. Sorrow with intense worry and alarms is felt, especially when the person is bereaved of loved people, loved families, such as husband, wife, sons and daughters, brother and sister, etc. And when disastrous economic misfortune befall him. This sorrow is domanassa, a displeasurable feeling, and it is intrinsic suffering, dukkha. Overwhelming distress occasioned by sorrow is liable to cause heartburn, and it may contribute to premature aging and even death. So being a basic for other physical pain, sorrow is fearsome. So Buddha said, Sokha is suffering. So Sokha can be overcome. Sokha Paridewana Samatikamaya by practicing Vipassana meditation or Satipatthana meditation, you can overcome the Sokha and Paridewa. So Paridewa lamentation is suffering. It is the material qualities of sound produced by wailing on the part of person affected by loss of relatives and properties. Absent-mindedly, the distressed person clamors, proclaiming the virtues of the dead person and the qualities of the lost properties, all property gone within a few seconds, few minutes, few hours, and the person so distressed. So he denounced the enemy for his or her disasters. So in the ultimate sense, lamentation is the material qualities of sound, and so it is not suffering. However, such wailing and hysterical proclamation produce physical discomfort and pain. So Buddha declared, Paridewa is dukkha, lamentation is suffering. So to cry is to be subjected to pain, so that is really dukkha. And then dukkha domanassa, dukkha physical pain, physical discomfort in the body, such as stiffness, feeling hurt, aches, tiredness, itch, etc. are dukkha. So these physical pain are true intrinsic suffering. So everyone knows and they are afraid of that physical pain. Even animals such as dogs, pigs, fowls, and birds run away for safety at the slightest hint of getting beaten, because they are also afraid of physical pain. Physical pain is generally followed by mental distress. scorpion bite, and then because of the physical pain and mental pain, worry. So physical pain is followed by mental distress, which is a cause of mental pain. So if physical pain is mindfully noted, according to the Satipatthana instruction, we remind ourselves every day, Vedana su Vedana nupasi viharati, Kaye kaya nupasi viharati, Atapi sambhajano satima, contemplating the body in the body. Body is body. Contemplating the feeling is feeling. Feeling is feeling. Feeling and body are not the same. If you capture the physical pain, if your physical pain is mindfully noted, mental pain is separated. Only the physical pain is felt. So Buddha prays of this practice by which mental pain is avoided and you suffer only physical pain. The body is body, Vedana is Vedana, Kaya is Kaya, Vedana is Vedana. So you permit mental suffering to arise. If you permit mental suffering to arise, because you fail to note, you fail to make note of the physical pain, the Buddha denounced permitting mental suffering to arise by failing to make note of the physical pain is denounced by the Buddha. So Buddha said, it is like attempting to remove the first thorn, which is hurting, and you break out with another thorn. And the second thorn breaks and remains embedded in the flesh. Then the person suffers two pains, one from the first thorn and the additional pain from the second thorn. So you suffer two, physical pain and mental pain. So Buddha denounced the kinds of unmindful person. And domanassa, grief is suffering. Domanassa, grief shows mental pain such as displeasure, anxiety, misery, sadness, fear, depression, discouragement, etc. Domanassa, grief is also intrinsic suffering, dukkha. All beings are well acquainted with the suffering and they fear it. And so it is very clear. Domanassa not only oppress our mind, but may also torture our body. When the person is fiercely gripped by grief, he or she goes about dejectedly. He or she cannot sleep, cannot eat food for days on end. with the consequent impairment of health and even advent of death. So it is truly fearsome dukkha from which only Nagami and Arhants are free. Nagami and Arahant has no grief. They have no mental suffering. They have no domanassa. They have no anger at all. But meditators who practice meditation diligently can overcome grief if they make strenuous effort of noting that grief when it arises. So in this way, meditator can reduce the pain of grief to a considerable extent, even if they cannot overcome it totally. Dukkha, domanassa, upayasa, despair is suffering. Despair is resentment produced by excessive mental agony in him, affected by loss of relatives, etc. So despair causes repeated bemoaning over the loss, resulting in burning of the mind and physical distress. So despair is suffering because of the intense burning of the mind and physical pain accompany it. So accordingly, people recognize this state of despair as a fearsome dukkha. And the commentary illustrates the differences between Soka, Parideva, and Upayasa. There are differences between sorrow, grief, and despair. Sorrow is like you cook oil or dye solution in a pot over a slow fire. Lamentation is like the boiling over when you cook over a quick fire. It is lamentation. Despair is like what remains in the pot after it has boiled over and is unable to do so anymore, going on cooking in the pot till it dries up. So it is a difference. Sorrow is boiling in the pot. Lamentation is boiling over when cooking over a quick fire. Despair is like what remain in the pot. Soka, Paridewa, Dukkha, Domanasu, Vayasa, Domanasu, Vayasapi, Dukkha. Apiyehi Sambhyoga Dukkha number 9. Association with the hateful is meeting with disagreeable beings and meeting with disagreeable object, sankhara formation, disagreeable sight, disagreeable sound, disagreeable taste, etc. So such meeting is not itself unbearable, but when you meet with disagreeable beings or undesirable objects, reaction sets in at once in the form of mental disturbance and physical discomposure. You don't want to see that person, you don't want to see that sounds of the person, etc. And there arises mental disturbance. So as it serves as a cause of mental and physical distress, association with the hateful is designated by the Buddha as dreadful suffering. The world is general. The world is general also recognize such encounters as undesirable suffering. Some people may go to the extent of making a wish. They pray not to have the misfortune encountering undesirable person. May I have not the fortune of encountering undesirable objects in my succession of existences. However, in a world, pleasantness and unpleasantness coexist. We have to face both according to circumstances. Our wish may be fulfilled, if at all, only partially, by having less occasion to face unpleasant people and object. The important thing is to endeavor to meet unpleasant situation with correct mental attitude, yoniso manasikara. So mental attitude is important. Mental inclination, mental attitude must be wise. And the best course of action is to go back to the practice of satipatthana. That is, you are noting continuously so that the mental process stands at the stage of just seeing. You don't want to see that person. If you see that person, you just know seeing, seeing, seeing. Don't think of the person. Don't think of the person. Data madambosati, when you, with regard to what is seen, there will be only the seeing. Just note, seeing, seeing, seeing. You must stop just at what is seen. You must not put any value on that seeing. You must not put any color to that seeing. Do not take this object, beautiful or ugly. Do not take this object, sweet or sour. fragrant or smelly, delicious or not delicious. Take the object as it is. That means note seeing, seeing, seeing continuously. So you note continuously so that the mental process stands at the stage of just seeing. Do not take that object to be permanent. Do not take this object to be satisfactory or substantial. Observe that seeing object, observe that visible object correctly as it really is. So the sound you don't want to hear, the sounds of that person, snoring, etc. You don't want disagreeable sounds. So you note continuously hearing, so that the mental process stands at the stage of just hearing. Do not put any value on that hearing, the sound, or do not put any comments or color to that sound. Do not take the sound beautiful or ugly. Do not cling to the sound, sweet or sour, fragrance or smelly, delicious or not delicious, etc. So take hearing as it really is. And seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, etc. So touching is very difficult because seeing, if you don't want to see that person, you close your eyes, it's okay. Hearing the sound, also you note continuously, but touching is more difficult. The unpleasurable sensation are felt in the body. Mental distress must be avoided by continuous noting of touching. So when unpleasant sensation, unpleasurable sensation you don't want, pain, itchiness, any unpleasant sensation you don't want, it is disagreeable. Just note continuously touching, knowing, or pain, itchy, etc. By practicing Satipatthana meditation continuously, so that the mental process stands at the stage of just seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and knowing only. And then you can overcome that unpleasant, disagreeable object. Another suffering Buddha said is api piyehi vipiyogo pi dukkha. Separation from the loved is suffering. Separation from the loved is to be parted from agreeable beings and agreeable objects, agreeable sight, agreeable sounds, agreeable smell, etc. Such separation is not itself a painful feeling. However, when separation from loved ones, when separation from husbands, wives, children takes away by death or while stay alive, or when parted from his or her treasured possession, mental suffering sets in at once. So it may even develop into sorrow, lamentation, and despair. So he or she is bound to be overwhelmed with grief under such circumstances. As it promotes such various mental affliction, Buddha called the separation from the loved ones and desirable objects dreadful suffering. Piyehi vipyogopi dukkha. And the world also recognized such separation as painful suffering. Some even make a wish of being to be always together with their loved ones throughout the successions of existences. They make a wish, may we be always together throughout the successions of existences. Such wishes may be fulfilled when there is a sufficient good karma you accumulated. So during the time of the Buddha, the family of the millionaire Mindaka, comprising his wife, his sons and daughter-in-law, together with their servant Pona, was made such a wish to be always together in future existences. And their merits are very great. They offered food to Pichika Buddha, who got out from Nirodha Samapatti. So as a result of their meritorious deeds, their wish became fulfilled and they were born together, forming the same group of 5 at the time of our Gautama Buddha. However, such kinds of wish tend to promote clinging fetters, and the kinds of wish is very inappropriate for the individual with a firm resolve of complete release from the suffering of samsara. And 11, dukkha is suffering from not getting what we want. It is suffering for not getting what we want, or suffering that arises out of desire for some unobtainable object. And the person may want that I were not subjected to becoming, I will not be reborn in the harem? I will not be reborn in the poor family. I will not have disease. I will not have death. I will not encounter death. Without practicing and developing Eightfold Path. If you want to overcome, if you want to have no aging, no disease, no death, you have to practice the Eightfold Path. You have to develop morality, concentration, and wisdom. So if you practice, if you develop Eightfold Path, you will have no becoming in the harems, etc. You are not subjected to aging, disease, and death. But without practicing and developing the Eightfold Path, the desire comes that I were not subjected to becoming aging, disease, and death. That I were not subjected to sorrow and lamentation. Of course, this will not come about by mere wishing and not getting what you want. So that causes mental suffering. So Buddha had described such desire as dukkha, dreadful suffering. Here the object of your desire is not limited to nibbana, which is free from birth, aging, sickness, and death, but it's meant to include also your worldly wealth, which cannot be attained just by mere desiring. So even worldly things or wealth cannot be attained by just mere desiring. So Buddha said, Yam pechana labati tambi dukkha. Not getting them as desire is also dukkha. And the last one, Sanketena Pinjupada Nekanda Dukkha. Suffering from the 5 groups of clinging. So the 11 types of suffering, birth is suffering, decay is suffering, death is suffering, etc. 11 types of suffering, starting from suffering of jati to suffering of not getting what you want, arise only because there are 5 groups of grass clinging. These suffering arise dependent on these 5 groups. So in short, in brief, Pinchupadana Kanda Dukkha, these 5 groups of clinging is the truth of suffering. The group, the aggregates of Rupa and Nama, material and mental formation, which form the objects of clinging, are called Upadana Kanda, groups of clinging. So these 5 groups of clinging are made up of the group of material forms, the groups of feeling, the groups of perception, and the groups of mental concomitants, and the groups of consciousness. So all sentient beings exist as such only with these five groups forming their substantive mass. So they cling to their body, which is merely an aggregate of rupa, aggregates of material form. They regard that body as, this is my body, this is my hand, this is my leg, it is permanent, etc. So they regard this body as like in this way. So the group of material form is called group of clinging. And the mental states made up of consciousness and mental concomitants are also clung to, and people take that mental states to be my mind. My mind is happy, my mind is sad, my mind is discouraged. I'm thinking. It is I who think. That mind is permanent. So they take these mental states to be I, my mind, it is I who think, permanent, etc. So the mental states are also known as groups of grasping. That is how attachment occurs on the groups of Rupa and Nama as a whole. So Venerable Sariputta said, a virtuous bhikkhu, virtuous meditator should carefully attend to the Upadana Khanda, Pinchupadana Khanda, five aggregates subject to clinging as impermanent, as suffering, as a disease, etc. So the aggregates and clinging and the aggregates that are subject to clinging, meaning aggregates that are objects of clinging or aggregates that can become objects of clinging. So you understand what clinging is? Upadana clinging. Clinging means, upadana means firmly holding on to something. When clinging to something, you take hold of it and do not let it go. Buddha teaches that clinging is of two kinds. Clinging is a mental state, upadana, and with that mental state, we cling to objects. Suppose we see something beautiful. When something is beautiful, we desire it, and we have a strong craving to possess it. In this case, we cling to the object by strong craving. In other words, things can be the object of strong desire, strong craving, or clinging. Wrong view can also cause clinging to objects. Sometimes we have wrong views about objects. We think that they are permanent. We think that they possess a self or soul. Or we may have wrong view about ourselves. We may think we have a self or soul, or we may take being to be self or soul. So when we apply these kinds of wrong view to objects, we are clinging to them. So we can cling to an object with strong craving, or we can cling to an object with wrong view. Anything that we can cling to either with strong craving or wrong view is called an aggregate subject to clinging, upadana khanda. What are the things we can cling to? They are the things we see, we hear, we smell, we taste, we touch, and think of. In other words, we can cling to everything in the world. So we can cling to everything in the world either by wrong view or strong craving. So when we say this, when we say, this is I, we are clinging by wrong view. But when we say, this is mine, this is my house, this is my temple, this is my properties, etc., we are clinging by craving. So the things we cling to are termed aggregates, khanda in Pali. They are called aggregates because they are understood in groups. A group here does not mean a group of different things. It means a group of aspects of a thing. For example, you take a visible object. There are 28 kinds of matter, and that visible object is just one unit of matter. That one unit of matter is not a group of many things. It is only one, yet it is called an aggregate. It is because one unit of matter can be of the past, of the future, and of the present. So with the grouping together of these three aspects of time, that one unit of matter becomes an aggregate. So you see this body, this rupa from the past, body of the future, and body of the present. Internal and external rupa, also urinate, and the urine is internal, and then urinate, urine is outside, external. Breathing in and out, it is internal, and when it's out, it is external. Your body, your rupas, sometimes you are very active, you healthy, is superior, but sometimes you sick, and then it is unhealthy, inferior. So that rupa, with the grouping together of these aspects of aspect, that one unit of matter becomes an aggregate khanda. And in the same way, the Vedana feeling, mental states, Feeling is just one mental state, one mental factors, but that one mental factor is also called an aggregate because during sitting you have unpleasant in the past and the other sensation of the future and now neutral sensation of the present. And the sensation can be internal and external. Feeling internal and feeling external. There is sometimes good news and then you happy. There is external feeling and internal. Your meditation is very good and well concentrated. You're so happy, very peaceful. That is internal. And feeling can be gross and it can be subtle and so on. Because of the many varying aspects that it possesses, feeling, Vedana, is called an aggregate. So we will continue tomorrow. We have to stop our discourse for today. By practicing Vipassana meditation, by observing every phenomena according at the six senses, by paying attention to the five aggregates of clinging continuously and meticulously, may all yogis realize the five aggregates subject to clinging as impermanent, as suffering, as a disease, as empty, as non-self, as an alien, as dissolution. May all yogis be liberated from all suffering. May all yogis realize the real peace in the very near future.